All right, the clock starts now. Welcome back to L22 Sports Daily. I'm Ben Shrewsbury. That's Dames Marvs. He's making a goofy face. We're going to start with the baseball playoffs, Dames. I absolutely hate this World Series
Why?
because this is the worst thing that could have happened to baseball.
Okay, I'm gonna let you make your case before I completely undo your case. Why is this the worst thing that could happen to baseball? First of
Because
all,
half
what's
the
the best thing that could happen to baseball?
the best thing that could have happened to baseball was not this. I don't care if one of these teams make it. I don't care about that. But these are the two highest payroll teams in the league by a mile.
And
And it's just more of the same predictable shit. You could have predicted this in January.
the Yankees haven't been in the World Series in 15 years. Shohei Ohtani has never been to the playoffs, let alone the World Series. So while you talk about salary caps and money and who spent this and that, guess what? With those price tags come the best players in the sport. If Shohei Ohtani was not in the World Series, that is a disservice to the American sports fan. First of all, the things he did during the regular season after signing a $700 million deal, it would be a disappointment if they didn't make it. Yes, this World Series has followed the money, but guess what? Every major player that's in the game right now is going to be playing. They're going to be mashing up against each other. You got Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto. Which one of these guys is going to be the biggest threat on the side of the Yankees, whom historically I don't like? Okay, and I don't care who wins this World Series.
Congratulations, New
Hoping,
York. You hit 230 for the entire playoffs and made the
I'm
World Series. Congrats. You haven't beat anybody.
hoping for a game seven. You got Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and a whole litany of other players. Teoscar Hernandez on the other side. This is going to be a mash 'em up All American
I've
World
got the
Series
Dodgers in five, by the way.
with two of the biggest fan bases in the sport. So I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking.
and the other half of the country is not going to watch.
The other half of the country is probably Yankees fans or Dodgers fans. They're everywhere. Between coasts, they're everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you, if I wasn't doing this show, I would be tuned out right now.
So you say 5 game series and goes to who? The Dodgers?
So, yeah, because this Yankees team hasn't beat anybody. The American League was terrible.
All right. We'll see. I'm not going to make any
This is
predictions. I just think they're going to mash on each other. And I can't wait to
I th-
watch it. Starts
you
Friday,
got
right?
I believe so. Yeah.
It's too long to wait. They should be underway by Wednesday, I would think. But
Well, call your buddy Rob. He'll
uh,
maybe
my
he'll fix it
buddy,
for you.
my buddy Rob, give me a break.
Well, you're like his best friend right now because you like the stupid thing. You like the bad
Look,
thing.
I'm just a fan of sports, and we're getting what we're getting, man. And to be honest with you, who excites me on Cleveland? Josh Naylor?
David Fry for like a minute.
Yeah, for like a minute. Then what? The polar bear excites me for the Mets, and that's about it. Edwin Diaz, but
Oh,
he only comes in when they have a lead.
oh, J Ram on the Guardians.
And I mean, I would
Look,
want to see my team, and then if I was thinking about other exciting teams out there, maybe Bobby Witt Jr. of Kansas City, just because I love watching him. But the rest of that team, maybe Salvador Perez. I would those two guys. Aside of that, I don't care about Kansas City.
once we got to the championship series, and we're gonna move on, but once we got to the championship series, I knew whatever World Series we got, it was gonna be bad. And this was the worst of the two terrible options. There was two terrible options
You're
here,
telling
and it was
me you'd prefer the Tigers in this World Series?
no, absolutely
Don't tell
not.
me that.
I hate the Tigers.
All
I
right.
hate the
Well, I
Tigers.
don't know what you want, Ben. I don't know what you want. The Twins? You think the
Well, that
Twins Mariners would be a good ALCS?
I think it would have been a better ALCS than the one we got. At least it would have
How
been
about Houston?
competitive.
You want Houston back?
No, no one does.
All right. Let's move on.
except for the Astros fans. They
Sicky. What
probably
do you
want to get
guys
them.
think? Let us know in the comments about what you think of this World Series. And I'm fine if you're with Ben, but I just think you're wrong.
Well, the Yankees and Dodgers fans are thanking you and kissing you on the cheek right now. All right, I'm moving on. College football this weekend. Nebraska just absolutely got it handed to them by Indiana.
Yeah, I normally want to bring up Nebraska just because I have people in the area watching, but that they're not the story that I want to talk about. I want to talk about this Indiana team that could go 3-1 the rest of the way. I think they'll be favored in every game except Ohio State. I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State, but
Is
man,
that game in Bloomington? I think it is.
wouldn't that be special? They don't have to play Penn State this year. They do play Michigan, but Michigan is just a shell of its former self, let's be honest.
I don't think that Michigan team's
Nebraska,
very good.
I like Matt Rule, but I mean, that's really all that Matt Rule and Dylan Riola is the only thing that's going on that team. I don't see them doing
They're
anything.
going somewhere, but they're not there yet.
They
Uh,
still got to win another game to be bowl eligible. I hope it takes them a while. Let's just say that.
Alabama, Tennessee. This game was not at all what anybody expected.
No, not at all.
It
First of
was low
all,
scoring for one thing, which was weird.
it is what was it, 27 or 24-17 was the final score. We got Alabama with its second loss under Kalen DeBoer. Boy, I wonder if okay, he's not wishing that he would have stayed in Washington, let's be honest, but this is a tough job, man. It was probably the most sought after job in college football in a lot of years, when Saban stepped down, and he's stepped into it. And I see in our notes, is DeBoer on the hot seat? No, he's not anywhere near the hot seat. Even if they
Well,
lost another game or two, he's not in the hot seat. Not this year.
well, if they go 8-4, which would be losing two more games, I'm not so sure there won't be conversation about him being
Look at
out
the
of there.
schedule. Tell me what those games would be, and then get
I
back to
actually have that pulled up.
me. What does this mean for Bama? It means I mean, if they lose again, they could be ousted from the
Uh,
playoff.
I think they might be out as it is because I don't think that Tennessee team's making it. So they could be out as it is.
We'll see. What was
And they
next?
already lost to Vanderbilt. Like both their losses, I think, are to not great teams.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing, dude. They're both upsets in a big way. Anytime the goalposts come down, it's an upset. So,
Also, Bama keeps losing in Tennessee. Do you know they lost to Vanderbilt? Now they lost to UT.
okay, finally know where Vanderbilt is then. I had no idea where that's located.
It's in Nashville. Anyway,
All right, but check this out, you guys. If if Bama keeps losing to these moderate teams, eventually goalposts coming down isn't going to be a thing that needs to happen when you beat Bama because it'll just be another win. I would love to see them fall back to normalcy. I just don't see it. This is just
no,
an
I think Kalen DeBoer is too good of a coach for them
just an
to.
unfortunate string of bad events.
I don't want to spend too much more time talking about college football here because we do have
Well,
a lot to talk about.
we're going to go through the games that are on the list. We got Georgia, Texas. We got to talk about that. That's a huge game.
Well, yes, obviously, but Georgia Texas. This game really didn't live up to the hype because it wasn't that competitive.
It wasn't fun to watch.
No,
I mean, Texas made a valiant effort to come back, but they were
they put
throwing.
Arch Manning in for two drives and it didn't work.
Yeah, and that makes me sad because if there's one thing that I would like about Texas, I would like to see him, but he's not up to par with the rest of the
Quinn
family.
Ewers.
All right, so you got Colorado beat Arizona. Great.
They're one win away from bowl eligible.
One more game, they're bowl eligible. Um, Boy, how bad of a game was this for Iowa against Michigan State after what they did to Washington? I mean, they just look like a completely different team. But that also rings. How bad is Washington now? Then I
Yeah.
mean, they beat Michigan, and then they come into Iowa and get blasted by 30 points, and then Iowa can't even hang with Michigan State after that. I don't know what to think. And the last
Well,
thing
it
I
goes
mentioned,
back to going back to the Iowa thing. It goes back to their offense. They just cannot get their offense right, and their defense didn't look good in Michigan either. So,
well, Kirk Ferentz is the most stubborn coach. He's the most tenured coach in college football, but he's also the most stubborn. And he refuses to pull McNamara out of the game and let Sullivan take some shots. And it's very frustrating to watch for Iowa fans. Iowa State gets past UCF. That was a doozy of a game that they won at the last second, pretty much to win 38-35. That's pretty much it for what we want to talk about collegiately.
let's talk about the NFL.
Ooh, week 7 in the NFL.
A lot of bad games this week, and one really good one.
All right, well, I can't wait to hear your opinion. I think they're all good games, but go ahead. What's the one
Uh,
good? Let me guess, Minnesota, Detroit.
actually, you know what? I thought the Houston Green Bay game was good too, so never mind.
All right, well, let's go in order here. I have to apologize to you publicly, which I hate to do, because you predicted that Seattle would beat Atlanta, and I publicly roasted you for even considering the fact. But I will say this. I apologize for I mean, mostly my thoughts that I didn't say out loud about you. But what I will say is I did say if Seattle plays a clean game, they can win. And they played the first clean game of the season, and boy, did they. It was clean on all facets. They won in all facets. I was never even slightly worried about this game. So,
And to Falcons fans, here's what I have to say to you before we move on. Welcome to the Kirk Cousins experience. That's all.
and you're saying this, of course, as a
As a
Viking
Vikings.
who lived.
Welcome to the Kirk Cousins experience. This is what it's like. He'll play great one game and then look like turd.
I do want to say though, I did get to witness the first snaps taken by Michael Penix Jr. in the NFL.
Oh, did he play in this game?
He did. He played like the last 4 minutes.
Well,
All right, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Look, the only reason we're bringing this game up is because the obvious. Watson goes down, and we've now since found out that he is out for the season with Achilles. Ben, I sent you a video earlier. You want to talk about this?
so Jameis Winston decided it would be a great idea, even though he didn't play in this game, I don't think,
He did not.
to basically go on a tirade in the media talking about how he thought it was disgusting the fans booed and or cheered or whatever they did when Watson went down. Like and like booed him off the field or what like we're not going to get into everything this guy's been accused of, but like no kidding, dude.
Like
Now I
that was one of the more intense videos I've ever seen. He basically went to bat for Watson in every way, saying, "Look, I know what kind of guy he is. I see what he does here, how he works, and you fans were miserable to him. He did not deserve the treatment." But all right, and I look, this is not a political show, and I am who I am, so I say my opinion only for myself in this situation. Cleveland, I'm going to double down on you and say, you are complete hypocrites if you're going to bash your quarterback for being a sexual predator and then you vote in you know who. So I'm watching Ohio. I'm watching Ohio with these eyes. Are you hypocrites or not? All right, let's move
Houston
on to
Green Bay.
the Houston Green Bay.
Great game. Really.
Fantastic game.
I know I was crapping on it a second ago and then I realized wait, that game was actually good. Hold on. Uh CJ Stroud somehow had under 100 yards in this game.
Really? I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, he had like 86 yards.
Okay, so for them to have, I mean, the score is not high, right? But
No,
this was a struggle. How many interceptions did he have?
I don't have it in front of me.
All right. Well, I know that there was interceptions by Jordan Love, maybe a couple even. And it was not a clean played game, but it was a battle in the trenches, man. And I see that it was won by a field goal
Yeah,
in the end by the Packers, who didn't they just sign this kid?
yeah.
And well, I don't know that your kicker's problems are solved, but they were solved for this day.
You won a game, Green Bay. Congrats. That you really. Anyway, I thought Houston was actually the better team there, and Green Bay just kind of.
Well, I had him picked in NFL just to go against Gobo, but I wasn't confident in it. I felt okay. I mean, they had obviously have a good shot. They've got CJ Stroud. They've got a chance. But yeah, I'm still on the fringe. Is this Packers team? Are they good? Are they good?
I want to see how they play in Detroit, and I want to see how they play in Minnesota before I make
Oh,
any.
that's what the country's waiting for, Ben. These games are going to be barn burners, man. They're going to be highly viewed games, and they're going to have huge consequences because as of right now, we could conceivably see all four teams from that division going to the playoffs.
I think the Bears are going to fall apart a little
They
bit,
may
but I
fall
agree.
apart, but as of right now, they are in, right? I
As
think,
of right now, all four teams are, yes.
right. And we're just under the halfway point, folks, about 14 minutes to go. So, yeah, that's
Detroit, Minnesota. Uh, what a game!
oh, did you see it?
Oh, did you notice that that Dan Campbell like called a timeout really early in the fourth quarter and it like almost killed him?
Yeah, that was definitely the game of the week. I mean, we called it, you called it, I'll say on Friday. Boy, you were right twice in the same show. What's going on here? Don't get cocky about your baseball stance because it's not right. But yeah, you said this was the game of the week. I kind of pushed back a little bit until I realized, yeah, this is actually the game of the week. The I don't have a lot to say about this. Sam Darnold still looks pretty decent. Jared Goff,
I actually thought Darnold, you could argue he probably played like his second best game
yeah,
against Detroit.
I mean, what it comes down to is basically time management in the fourth quarter. Like you needed to get convert on some third downs and keep the ball away from
And it
them.
would have helped if our defense would have made a single stop in the second quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those games you can chalk up to a number of different things. Like I remember early games that Seattle played this year was like, man, I know it was like a two-score game that we lost by two scores, but literally if this one play goes right, this
Who
could be
knows?
easily be a win. So I don't think that Minnesota needs to hang their head, and I don't think that Detroit can sit there and brag heavily about this one either. This is what you want. I mean, you want like a game like that goes down to the wire.
I think week 18 could very well be for the NFC North.
Is that
I
the next meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, NFL schedulers again.
We know
Brilliant.
you didn't do it on purpose, but bravo.
The only problem I have with the NFL schedulers is how many GD times you have the Jets in prime time.
It's because
They're
Aaron Rodgers.
terrible. I don't care about the market. All right. They suck. Stop putting them in prime time. Every year I have to deal with this, Ben. Every year. All right. The other game that had potential for being game of the week.
Chiefs Niners that ended up being really, really boring.
It was.
Like, this just wasn't fun to watch.
Listen to this, you guys. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Blah, 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 blah. Brock Purdy's the best quarterback in the end. Blah 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 blah. Guess what? Between the
They
two of
both
them,
sucked.
5 interceptions, 0 touchdowns in this game between the two of those quarterbacks. And you're telling me that these are the best two representations of either league? I don't know. Chiefs are still undefeated, but I mean, what are you gonna do? San Francisco's hurt, Kansas City's hurt. Who's more hurt?
At this point, San Francisco with Ayuk being
Yeah. Now
potentially.
tell me that Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. Convince me, Ben.
I I
Convince me.
have never been fully on the Purdy train, so I really can't convince you of anything because in order to convince you of something, I have to believe it myself, and I don't know if I believe that.
The evidence ain't there.
Do
When
you want
he
to talk about this stupid Jets game?
Oh, I really do actually. Our correspondent, Midwest Jet, was there, as you can see by our TikTok videos,
Is he
talking
having a
about
mental
that.
breakdown?
No, he's been a Jets fan for long enough. That
Oh,
mental
well,
breakdown happened many, many moons ago. But the Russell Wilson era begins in Pittsburgh. Let me tell you something, man. I don't know if you know this or not, but Mike Tomlin is actually very smart. Looking at the
well,
schedule,
yes.
he looked at the schedule and he says, all right, I played Justin Fields a number of games. I already told Russell Wilson he was the starter, and there's an unwritten rule in the NFL that you don't lose your job to injury, right? So, and I'm looking at the clock, we're good. We don't lose your job to injury, right? So now that Russell Wilson's healthy, we got a Jets game at home where we can feasibly put in Russell Wilson. You got another
With an interim
team.
coach, a
You
Jets
got
team with an
another
interim coach.
pushover team next week, and then you got a bye week before you start your division schedule. That's enough time for him to assess both the play of Russell Wilson at the helm and Justin Fields, and then make a decision for who he wants for the home stretch. That is masterful coaching. People have been crapping on Tomlin all year for not telling the decisions that he's making or being soft on wide receivers and diva players. But there's a reason he's the longest tenured coach at this point. I love it.
Uh, I think if Pittsburgh continues to win like this, he's going to win Coach of the Year again. And I don't know how he doesn't.
I'm not going to argue with that.
We do have two games tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll be talking
I,
about it tomorrow. Unfortunately, actually, we don't know that. They might be really good games. So tonight
no,
it's
but we just don't
Baltimore,
like two
Tampa.
Monday night football games. We just don't like there being two games on Monday night.
I
Like,
don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I mean, I like the fact that when you have Monday Night Football, you get to sit down and just focus on two teams. Like already spend all day Saturday and Sunday with like 4 and 5 screens up, and it's really hard to like focus on
Focus.
one thing. So I'm not looking forward to split screening tonight. I'm just glad that the NBA starts tomorrow, and I'm not trying to put that in there and that baseball ended, until Friday. I needed this break, and then the NFL throws 2 games at me. So you got Tampa Bay or Baltimore at Tampa Bay,
The
and then
good game.
you got that's at 7:15, and then as this show is starting, you got the Chargers at Arizona, um, which will
Who
their fans
cares?
even be? I don't know. I'm gonna watch it, but I don't
Who
expect to
cares?
be wowed by anything that happens.
And I'll be flipping back and forth between those and Monday Night Raw because I host a wrestling show. So there is that. Damon, I
Talk
know
about
neither
Monday
of us
Night
really.
Raw. We can talk about Monday Night Raw tomorrow if you want to.
Well, we could. Speaking of WWE, I'm going to mention this for 2 seconds. WWE lost their lead ring announcer today. She is out of the company. That's kind of the big news of the day.
Oh wow. I thought you were just gonna broadcast information about 2 marks and a spark.
Well, that's right here on this channel. You know, go check it out. It's me and Uncle Russ. It's a great time. Let's talk about, as much as I don't think either of us want to, the WNBA Finals Game 5.
I don't know why you say that, man. Like, all right, I'll tell you this. I did stop watching the playoffs once Caitlin Clark was out. All right. And
As I
that's
think a
on
lot of
me.
people did.
That's on me. I did watch the second half or the fourth quarter more specifically, of game and overtime of game five. So, but you watched the whole thing. What do you got?
The sloppiest first half I've ever seen in my life, especially by New York. I thought New York looked horrible in the first half. Minnesota looked not great, but they looked better, if that makes any sense. And then in the second half, it was like a completely different game because here come the Liberty, and they just basically went on a tear for the entire fourth quarter, with the exception of a couple minutes there where Minnesota goes back ahead, and then Stewart gets the two free throws, and she's not going to miss those. Um, and then in overtime, Minnesota doesn't make a single field goal. Like, what? How does this? And the Liberty win. Like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
All right. So
A lot of fouls.
congratulations to the New York Liberty for winning your first ever WNBA title. That's huge,
Yeah, we got 5 or 6 of them. Enjoy that one.
especially with the way that the game is changing now. And look, when I started watching this game, I'm just going to be brutally honest. I texted Ben and I said, "This is not a good product." What I was watching was sloppy basketball, turnovers, terrible shots. Nobody could make a shot outside of a layup, and half of the layups were just like thrown at the rim with a prayer of them going in. It was just not good looking basketball like I'm used to seeing. And I texted Ben that. Having said that, Ben, the electricity in that building was something to behold. And I can only imagine that that's going to grow as the women's version of the NBA
They
grows.
Can I make one funny note before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
They showed Jason Sudeikis at one point in the first half. And Jason Sudeikis, who I love, looks like he wanted to be anywhere else. And maybe it's because his team was down 12. And maybe it's because this game looked like it was over. But he
They ended
looks
up
like,
winning, so he was happy at
yeah,
the end.
well, yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit of hockey here. Calgary and Seattle.
Well, I had Calgary at Seattle on just because I'm well, look at where I'm at. This is my thing.
Yeah.
Uh they're my team. I have not been a long time hockey fan like you have. I only started watching when the Kraken came into the league. This is their fourth season now. But check this out. All right. Calgary had never lost in Seattle, first of all, coming in, but they'd also never started off the season 5-0. Now, I would like both of these things to change, obviously, watching this game. First period, 7 seconds left with a power play, and they scored. And I was like, 7 seconds, man. That's how close things are in hockey. I mean, it can get down to the wire, and that's it. And, then they're in overtime, in a tie game, and they actually pulled out in 9 seconds into overtime. Eberle connects with his first goal of the day from pass from Montour. Seattle wins 2-1 in overtime, thus ending the streak of Calgary never winning in Seattle and basically tying us at top of the ranks in the West. So all is good there. I also watched the Utah Boston game, and that was phenomenal.
That
Utah
Utah team is
won
really
that
good.
game. Man, they're good. They're good. And I think you've got, I want you to talk about Minnesota here in a minute, but you got Jersey, Winnipeg, Dallas, and Utah all off to really, really good starts. And I know that you're the Wild guy, so what do you see in there?
Uh okay. And I wrote this in the notes. So we've got 2 wins over Columbus now. 2 of our wins are over Columbus, and the other one's over a Blues team that I don't think is very good. So and that Columbus team also isn't very good, and our lines are completely mismanaged. Our best line last year just doesn't even exist anymore. They've completely reshuffled it, and I don't know why. And I wrote in the notes here, John Hines continues to win despite line mismanagement ablaze. I don't understand what he's doing. The Kaprizov Boldy Ek line worked so well when they used it last year, and they've just gone completely away from that, and it makes no sense. So yeah, we've got 3 wins. Congrats. You beat Columbus twice and you lost twice in overtime on 2 games you probably should have won. You should be 5-0, 6-0. Congrats. You don't know what you're doing,
I
John
mean,
Hides.
listen, it's early in the season, Ben.
Well,
Relax.
I can only hope he wakes up and realizes, wait a second, this line works. Maybe we should use
I
that.
mean, that's the trial and error of everything, right? I mean, eventually he'll figure it out, and that'll be it.
Unless he's like Dean Evison, who never figured anything out
Where are
in
we at with
Montreal.
time? Oh yeah.
Well, we got about 30 seconds left here, James. Final thoughts.
Well, we got 15 seconds, so I'll just get this in. The NBA reaches a 12-year extension to remain the official outfitter of the WNBA and the NBA, both. 5 seconds, Ben, you close us out.
All right, everybody have a good rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
See you tomorrow, suckers.